What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. Today, we're going to be talking about J.J. Watt signing with the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to ask the question, does J.J. going to the Cardinals make them Super Bowl contenders? All that and much more coming your way right now! Nick, J.J. Watt to the Cardinals. Raise your hand if you thought that would happen. Yeah, none of us. Obviously, the Cardinals were in pursuit of him, and as your best friend, Jay Glazer, had pointed out, he had called this from the get-go, and the Cardinals were in it from the beginning, and they land their guy.
Yeah, this is a complete surprise to everybody, and JJ just decided to drop this bomb on us on a Monday morning. Couldn't even wake up. I mean, oh wow, this is interesting. But why? Why did JJ decide to go to Arizona? What do they have to offer? As we found out through sources, JJ had better offers from Cleveland and Indianapolis, but he decided he wanted to go team back up with DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, and that was a better position for him. Listen, I don't know if it's him just wanting out of the AFC and wants a fresh start in the NFC or what, but the Arizona Cardinals are now in an interesting spot. They have quite a few free agents that were key parts of their team over the last few years, and J.J. Watt, although he's a huge add for them, they have very little cap space now that they've signed him, and they need to try to re-sign some of those big pieces to make them Super Bowl contenders. But when you look at this division, you have the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks, who are all Super Bowl contenders in their own right. And I just don't know how you can say the Arizona Cardinals with J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones on the outside are going to be enough to put the Cardinals over the edge and get them atop this division. Because when you look at this offense, I think this is where we have most of the issues. Kyler Murray has weapons in DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk, but you have Dan Arnold at tight end. He's not really cutting it for you. He's not doing the job. Your offensive line is shaky at best. You have a great left tackle in DJ Humphries, but that's about it. You've got all holes there. You don't have a solid running game. Kenyon Drake's a free agent. You don't really want him back, but Chase Edmonds can't do this by himself. So the offense is a huge hole for them. And then defensive back. Pat Pete was already released. He's not coming back. Their corner situation with Byron Murphy right now is the number one. He's not a number one. At best, he's a slot corner, and that's not going to cut it right now. They've got some major holes, and honestly, I think that the signing of J.J. Watt just hurt them financially and doesn't help them improve at all.
Well, just to correct you on one part, they do have Justin Pugh at left guard, and they have Marcus Gilbert.
I'm sorry,
at right tackle.
You have an aged guard who was good at one point in his career. Got it.
And Marcus Gilbert at right tackle. So I mean, they do
Again,
have some offensive
guard,
line pieces.
Yeah, or aged tackle. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they have pieces that work out on the offensive line, but for the most part, I agree with you. They have a ton of free agents. Just to list a few, we have Patrick Peterson, Larry Fitzgerald, Kenyon Drake, Devondre Campbell, J.R. Sweezy, Corey Peters, Marcus Golden, Hassan Reddick, Zane Gonzalez, Kelvin Beachum, Drake Kirkpatrick, Jonathan Joseph, Domata Peko. The list goes on and on and on. Dan Arnold, who you mentioned, is also a free agent. So, I mean, they have a ton of holes that they have to fix on this roster. What we go by is Spot Rack, and they talk about how the Cardinals have about $17 million in cap space. Well, J.J. Watt signed a 2-year deal for $31 million and 26 guaranteed. So we're looking at what the breakdown's going to be. Obviously, that hasn't come out yet. We're going to have to see, but I'm assuming it's going to be around $10 million that he's going to be on the books for this year. So looking at JJ Watt's deal, you add 10 million, now you're left with 7 million. That this does include obviously the draft picks that they have. I have to assume that they're going to use their first round pick on an offensive lineman and then try to trade up in the second round and try to get a guy like Najee Harris or Travis Etienne because they have to get this running game fixed and they have to get this offensive line fixed.
And the problem now is Chandler Jones is also in a contract here, so he's has 1 year left with the Cardinals. They'll probably try to re-sign him next year or extend him to move some of the money on his contract and get some more money for this year. But right now, the way it's structured, Chandler Jones is at the end of his career. He only has a few more seasons. JJ Watt also only has a few more seasons. The Cardinals have now put themselves in a win now scenario. They have to acquire as much veteran talent as possible for the cheapest price. Sort of like Tampa did last year, getting guys like Antonio Brown for near nothing, Leonard Fournette for nothing. You need guys like that who are willing to take pay cuts to go and play for you in the hopes of getting to the Super Bowl and winning it all.
Yeah, I agree. And, so taking a look at this move, is JJ Watt enough to make them Super Bowl contenders? The answer is no. But he is a huge, huge piece because him opposite Chandler Jones is going to wreak havoc throughout the NFC West, and for every opponent that they have to face next year. I'm so happy that as Patriots fans, our team faced the Cardinals last year because I don't want to face that this year. I mean, these guys are going to be absolutely phenomenal, just working off of each other. They'll have incredible chemistry, and JJ Watt is a hard worker. He is consistently a top 10 defensive end. He's never finished outside of the top 10 in his category except when he's been injured. If he stays healthy, he is a top 10 defensive end in the league, and Chandler Jones is a top 5 defensive end in the league. So you have those two guys rushing the passer, it's all over. And that's the second most important position. The most important is quarterback, and they have their guy, Kyler Murray. So when you add all of this together, they have a recipe to do really well this coming year. They have to figure out these holes. They have to move some money around. They really have to figure out this roster because at this point, this is not a Super Bowl contending roster. They have a lot to figure out before the start of or before free agency opens up.
Now, one more question I want to ask you is this puts a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray because JJ Watt's there and they need to win now. Do you think Cliff Kingsbury has taught him enough to make Kyler a good enough quarterback to take this team all the way?
I think Kyler has it in him. Kyler is a proven winner and he's a proven leader both in college and in the pros so far. Just looking at some of his best plays last year, just remember that Hail Murray that he threw up to DeAndre Hopkins. While you may say that's a lucky play, he made a pinpoint accurate pass that he knew only his receiver could grab. And they have practiced that more times than not. I think Kyler Murray is definitely the guy that can lead them there. I believe that they have to get this offensive line right. They have to get a solid running back behind him and fix the back end of this defense. That is priorities 1, 2, and 3 in that order. Because without that, they're not going anywhere. And I have to say, with the addition of JJ Watt, I fully expect all 4 of these NFC West teams to be competing for a playoff spot. And I would not be surprised if all 4 of them end up making it at some point. I truly do believe that, but that's a discussion for another time.
It absolutely is, and it would be an absolute miracle for the Cardinals to fill all these gaps that we have laid out that are still big holes in this division. They're going to be picked apart by these defenses, and I think that they're going to be in a similar boat as they were last year, and this whole move for JJ Watt will be all for naught.
Well, only time will tell. And as of right now, we have a lot to look forward to as we approach the start of free agency. We had the draft coming up in just a month, and a lot is still left to be determined. But you know what? I'm excited for not just our team, but for all these teams in the league that are fresh, they're ready to go, and they believe that they have a fighting chance at a Super Bowl contention. Well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.